Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for volunteering. We're packing up over 3,000 meals, 5,000 snacks. It'll get these kids 11 days of meals over their spring break.
We could not do any of the work we do without a group like Chobani coming in to help us. It's the only way we exist.
It's always been about more than just making food. We're committed to making an impact and helping to build a healthier and more equitable world.
We all have it in our DNA here at Chobani. Caring for other people, caring for our communities, that's who we are.
Together, we can make a difference.
Hey y'all, I'm Gabby. I want to tell you a little bit about my journey as a Hollister brand agent and how my coworkers became my family. Being a Hollister brand agent was so much more than a regular high school job. It was an experience of a lifetime. We weren't just getting paid to talk about a brand we already loved. That brand was actually invested in us, in our futures, and in our passions. At the start of the year, Hollister wasn't that big at my school, but that changed. Soon, everyone knew me as the Hollister girl. Even my teachers and the school paper wanted to hear about my experience. And this was happening at other schools too. My agent friends were starting fashion clubs and hosting styling parties. Now I literally can't go to class without seeing or hearing about Hollister. Fast forward to the end of the year, I'm designing my own clothes. I'm working side by side with professional designers and stylists. Hollister gave me a real taste of the fashion industry. Freaking People magazine featured me. And Hollister? What is life? They made my dreams come true, but not just mine, so many others. When I tell you being a brand agent changed our lives, I'm not playing. And my community saw that. Because of Hollister, we changed the way people think. It ain't just about clothes. Fashion is a lifestyle. Freshman year Gabby would be freaking out right now if she knew how this year would turn out.
All right, wow, all incredible causes, incredible videos. Hear the word conscious capitalism. What does that mean to you, and how do these causes sort of fit into that realm? What about you, JC? Hollister, obviously very popular brand with teens, so it makes complete sense that you're helping empower teens. But can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be and why that was a cause that was right for Hollister?
Yeah, so I mean at Hollister and for a lot of brands, you really do put the consumer at the center of everything you do. And our mission at Hollister is to help these teens who are really going through a lot of turbulent times in their life. A lot of change happens in high school. You're kind of in the self-discovery path, figuring out who you are. And so we've set out to help those consumers along on their journey to really becoming their most true, authentic selves. All of our philanthropic partnerships, whether that's through GLSEN or the Academy Group out of Chicago, or even as we stood up our Hollister Confidence Project, which is our own 501c3, does that. The program that was showcased today is our brand agent program. And what that program does, we have about 40 to 50 kids in that program every year. It's application based. We sift through thousands of applications every day, and we take them and we not only have them like come in and we love up on them and bring them along as part of the brand. They do amazing content with us. They, get to go to events and all these things, but we monetarily fuel their passions across the year through like mentorship programs for whatever we can provide them. So the girl you saw, Gabby here, she was one of 6 who put together a proposal. She wants to be a clothing designer when she grows up. Fitting for us to help her with that, obviously, but for 10 weeks we connected her with designers and merchants and fabric and samples, and we brought them to home office and they designed a collection, they sewed samples, they built a whole line. We took them over here in the city and we stood up an entire showcase for them. We invited a ton of press. Marseille Martin came from Blackish and talked to them about their collections, and people showed up and wrote a feature on them. So achievement being one of those things that Gen Z is really passionate about it and stressed about. We really do get after putting our consumer at the middle and helping them become their kind of like true best selves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really cool that she got a feature in People.
She's a rad girl. She deserves it. Yeah.
JC, what are your thoughts on just being able to be authentic in your messaging and being able to communicate that with your consumers?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think your point is really interesting. I think we, stood up our own Hollister Confidence Project based on data. Love your data points. Based on realizing there's all these teens in these communities that don't need, you guys know, millions of dollars, right? They just need $10,000 to clean up their neighborhood, or $50,000 to start a club for reading at school because they want to find a community of like-minded people. And having that kind of authentic brand to purpose integration allows you to show up really every day, whether it's a post about a sweater or a post about the great kind of philanthropic and charitable partnerships your brand is doing. It becomes very easy if it's really aligned.
And among these several partnerships and initiatives that Hollister is part of, where do you feel like your consumer is most engaged? Or maybe you get feedback of some sort where people are coming to you and they're like, that was great, I'm so glad you're doing this, and our values seem to be aligned with your brand.
Yeah, it really shows up across a lot of them. The brand agent program that was highlighted here is one of kind of those top ones. That program's 5 years old for us. And when we first started, we were like, please apply, anyone, And today we're sifting through thousands of applications, all rooted in the idea that these teens have big ideas and big dreams, and achieving those dreams is incredibly stressful to them on top of their already really stressful lives. And then, back to your win-win comment, we can bring them in and make them huge fans of the brand. And when we do that, they let people know that Hollister is doing this amazing thing for them, and even turning around like that content for us turns out to be some of our most engaging content. So doing the right thing really is that like full circle, mutually beneficial situation that, again, if it's built right, hopefully that's how it works. Yeah,
absolutely. But while you're all part of these wonderful initiatives, you're also answerable when it comes to profits and the bottom line. And with so many challenges, it's like inflation, recession, war in Ukraine, the list goes on. How do you make sure that you can provide all the resources and put in the same amount of energy that goes into these initiatives constantly?
I think the other piece to that, and it's, we largely our consumer is this like high school Gen Zer, and their relationship with things like cause marketing is like, it's complicated is the best way to talk about it. Going back to the idea, and I keep repeating it again, but putting the consumer and what they need from you at the center of your purpose and the work you do in that manner helps it kind of pay back both sides of it. We show up in the way that the consumer wants us to and expects us to. We aren't, we're not Chobani, and our consumer knows that. We're not Patagonia, and our consumer knows that. But we are a brand that truly gets our teen and where they're at and understand how we fit into their lives and help them. And that's where we really see the best results, when we lean in from a purpose perspective, not try and do something that isn't what your consumer expects you to do.
Yeah. Gigi, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, we have a fundamental belief to leave things better than we found it. Those are our founders' words, and we do live by that, and part of that means doing the right thing. And I can tell you, the cost of doing the right thing is much better and will pay dividends to the cost of doing the wrong thing, right? And we have a famous story, I hope some of you have heard, but it's our tire story. And many years ago in Alaska, one of our first stores, we had a customer come in and had insisted that he purchased a pair of tires from us. Well, we don't sell tires. So obviously he didn't purchase the pair of tires from Nordstrom, but he did purchase the pair of tires in that location. So the retail location that was there before Nordstrom came in was selling tires. And so the salesperson that he was dealing with at the time said, you know what, you're right, you bought the tires here, we're gonna take them back. So he refunded this young man money for his tires. I don't even know how much those tires cost. I don't know how much we refunded him, and I don't think anyone in the company does. But I can tell you, we gained the trust and just loyalty of that customer forever, and that story precedes itself. And I do think that we are a trusted brand. Our customers trust us, and they expect us to do the right thing. And if we put that first, and to your point, if the customer is first, everything that we do is in service of our customer, then we know that the cost of that, judgment, doing the right thing, is going to far outweigh any cost we might be cutting or returning.
It's a great lesson in also customer service, which I feel like, a lot of brands can learn from. But a great segue into probably my last question, because I see we have only a few minutes left, which is brand loyalty. Again, with all these challenges, and keeping consumer trust has become harder and harder for retailers. There's been several surveys about it. How do you maintain it, and what is the one key thing that keeps you going?
Well, I think you've kind of heard variations of it among the three of us, and I kind of started with it as well. But I really think it boils down to being authentic, right? I think consumers can tell when it's just a marketing gimmick. Consumers can tell when it just doesn't fit. And if you can find whatever that piece is, and I think you made the point of just, keep talking about it, right? That's the way you build trust and awareness. And then with that comes some expectations too, right? So you can't raise the bar and then abandon it as well.
I think for, there's a couple of things. And again, Gen Z, right? We hear, I guess for every consumer, we're all familiar with the phrase, the consumers are voting with their dollars.
Right.
And, innovation in a lot of ways is that new kind of loyalty. How are you keeping up? So I think, back to your point, understand why consumers are voting with you, and innovate to keep up on what they expect from you, and continue to deliver on that. And the good thing about this panel, and really just, retail in general, is this idea of conscious consumerism is important to every generation that shops yogurts or shoes or hoodies. And so it has to be part of why they vote for you, because they hold you to a standard that is expecting you to change the world as much as you can. So,
great last words. Any parting words for you, Gigi?
Sure. I think, I can hear Jamie Nordstrom in my head. We work hard every day to earn our customers' trust. This isn't something that we're resting our laurels on, right? It's something you have to work at every day. You have to listen to your customers. You have to know your customers. As I mentioned before, so many of the programs are developed because of the data, because of what we're hearing from our customers and our employees, and that's really, really key. And so just, again, working hard at it every day, being as transparent as possible, owning up when you do make a mistake, will continue to drive that trust and loyalty.
Thank you.
That's great, because I got to talk to you about a return.
Okay. No problem.
Just kidding.